You're feeling flat. You're uninspired. Nothing's technically wrong, but something's just not sitting right. And the spark that once lit you up, it just doesn't anymore. Maybe you're still doing all the things, showing up, ticking the boxes, but deep down, you're not expanding anymore. You're not growing. You're probably circling the same path, surrounded by the same energy, exposed to that same energy, and it's starting to feel like you're treading water. And if that's you, then this episode is for you, because sometimes it's not about working harder or setting new goals. It's about changing your environment. You've outgrown the energy around you. And the truth is, you need new stimulation, new people, new places, and perspectives. And that will reignite your spark. Welcome to Lounging with Laurie, the Sisterhood Collective podcast. If you've ever wondered what small steps can lead to big change, or how to break through challenges to create a fulfilling life, you have come to the right place. I'm Loz, and this podcast is all about real women sharing their stories, sharing their lessons and the actions that have helped them grow and thrive. With a mix of my own experiences and inspiring conversations with women just like you, we're creating a space where you'll laugh, learn, and leave ready to take action. Let's dive in. This is Lounging with Laurie, the Sisterhood Collective podcast. Now, if you've listened to a few of my previous episodes, you know that just recently I took a trip to Australia and New Zealand. And while it gave me some beautiful solo moments, especially the long flight, it also gave me time with my friends and family. The reset for me didn't really happen there. I mean, I think I identified it there, but it really started to click for me when I came home. And I did something as simple as getting a new mentor. Now, that might sound simple. It took a long time. I wanted it. I just didn't do it. But when I did, it was getting a new mentor, getting clarity. And from that, I started to think big again, and I started to just feel invigorated. Since then, I've already made new connections, and I really feel like I've just got this zest for life back. And I am motivated, and I have got this new energy. And because I love working, that shift, I guess, has spilled into every part of my life. So I've started improving my health again, which has always been such an important thing for me. But, we all fall off the wagon. For me, that was finally seeing a physio and starting to get some rehab for my shoulder, which was preventing me from training a little bit. And you all know I love to hit the gym. But also, naughty, I needed to get back on track with my nutrition. I needed to move more. And I needed to start saying yes to things. And I did. I said yes to this community of dog lovers over here. And I did a beach morning on the weekend. And so all of this little shift here, this energy, this change, this zest for life, well, it's continuing every day. And this was the kind of stimulation I'd been craving. I didn't want the more hustle, not more doing of everything, but just I needed this different energy. So since then, I've walked away from communities that no longer align, which I think I talked about in the last episode. I've shifted mentors, as I just said, and I've opened up myself to new friendships and experiences. I don't need to do any sort of dramatic reinvention. I think I've done enough of that because I moved countries, didn't I? But it's about living life with intention. So it's just making small intentional shifts. They don't need to be so grand. And as I said, I felt myself come back to life just this little bit by bit. I feel a little bit more like Loza. I'm more energized. And you know what? It's coming back to my vision as well. So being more aligned with that and more ready to just have a go. So I thought in this episode, I would walk you through some of the signs you'll see when you've outgrown your current environment, the types of stimulation that can reignite your spark, and how to realign your everyday life with the one you actually want to be living. It's design your life, right? So firstly, let's look at some of the signs you're maybe in a stimulation rut of sorts. And so that could be the fact that you're feeling off, but you can't explain why. Maybe you're going through the motions every day, even if everything looks fine. And maybe that's something like that looks a little bit like you're stuck in the routine and, and you're just turning the wheels, but you're feeling bored, you're not stimulated, you're uninspired, or maybe you're even feeling a little bit lost. You're physically okay, but mentally or emotionally drained. Kind of like feeling tired all the time, because that mind of ours is just so powerful. Perhaps you're avoiding things that you used to enjoy. Like for me, that is if I stop going to the gym and training, or if I start saying no to catching up with my friends. Those two things are really important to me and they fill my cup. And they're generally my non-negotiables, to be honest. But if I start to stop doing those sorts of things, then I've identified that I am in a rut and something needs to change. And I get it. Sometimes you can't get out of it that easy, but that's an identifier for me. Some of my non-negotiables are no longer happening. And the other one is that perhaps you feel like you want more, but guilt is stopping you from doing the thing. Maybe it's other people. For me, it's my animals giving me those guilty eyes, kind of saying, even if I'm wanting to go off to the gym, I get those eyes of don't leave me, play with me. But, and that's hard to kind of walk away from, of course, but it could also be moving forward and leaving friends behind. And that's something that's holding you back because you're afraid of leaving them behind or upsetting them. Maybe because it's not something that they're interested in, or perhaps you're just elevating faster and just moving forward. And that's just on your mind, but essentially holding you back. I feel like sometimes we actually have to hit that rock bottom moment to really notice how far we've drifted. Even when I hear a lot of people say to me, a lot of my mentees, and even women, they reach out and go, I need some help. And then I put it all out there and show them, I guess, the blueprint or the pathway, but they're not ready. And so they don't do anything. The change just doesn't happen. For me, the rock bottom, though, it has happened recently. It happened before, of course, but it looks a little bit like this. Drinking just a little bit too much. And of course, because it becomes a bit more of a habit, it's my unwinding mechanism of sorts. And of course, that messes with my clarity. It leaves me foggy in the mornings, every morning. Of course, my body changes and it starts to crave the sugars. It's throwing off my energy, which leads to throwing off my confidence because my clothes don't start to fit right. My body composition changes. So the confidence is gone. I start skipping the gym. Then I start procrastinating on all my to-do lists, which just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I feel scattered. I feel lethargic. And I just don't want to be seen. And so it all just spirals. And so now here you are, you're sitting there at the rock bottom. And like I said, I've been there more than once. And while I've tried to pull myself out a few times, I've failed. But what finally shifts things for me is reconnecting with my why. And sometimes it's a person who inspires me. Maybe I'm scrolling the socials or maybe I come across somebody. Sometimes it's just a moment of clarity, or it's just reaching out to that person, whoever that is. That's someone who can help you see the next step. And when I can see the outcome really clearly, so if I can see what's on the other side and I'm clear about what that looks like, it reconnects me with something that just starts to light me up and it helps me snap out of my rock bottom. And maybe you've had that too. I wonder what your wake up moment was. Be interesting to know what your wake up moment is, because if you can identify that and highlight it, it's what's going to help you in the future as well. So if you need to work through something like this, DM me, or if you want to share a moment, I'd absolutely love to hear from you as well. But think about where you've ignored these signs and you've hit that low point. What does it teach you? But I can tell you, for me, I don't like being the not thriving loser that I want to be. And it's not the version of myself I want to be. So I want to try hard and I want to recognize these moments so that I don't fall back into it. And if you're nodding along to any of this, let's talk a little bit about what you can do, because you don't need to blow everything up and change everything, but you do need fresh energy. So what kind of stimulation are we looking for, I suppose, is a good question. And it is hard these days. There's a lot of people that are just on the online world, but the online world is somewhere where you can find new stimulation and new people and new community. And you can join any sort of a community. It could even be a dog group like I have done. It could be a walking club, a mother's meeting or mother's groups, masterminds, yoga studios. You can go to networking events and join some of these networking circles. And of course, the online groups are just a good one. Meeting people outside your usual circle. This is what you're wanting to be doing. Saying yes to just something that is different. New conversation brings new perspective. And of course, that's where you start to spark new ideas. Even if you're just having these light, very surface level convos, it can shift your energy also. Because people, every single person you meet and talk to, they bring this different energy. And most people are walking around, I've found more recently, they're walking around with their heads down. They're avoiding eye contact just to dodge the connection. But maybe don't be that person. Here's a story. I remember when I was living in Toowoomba years and years ago, I was in a bit of a triplex and I was in the middle one, and I would go off to work early every morning. And as I walked past, I just turn and look in the front window of my neighbor and I just yell out, "Hi, Greg, good morning." Anyway, I lived there for about 3 years. And when I left, he wrote this beautiful poem and framed it for me. And he said, "Laurie, you don't understand that just your energy and your good mornings most days are what brought me out from a dark place and gave me that zest for life and just a little bit of spark for my day." And I was like, oh my goodness, isn't it funny how powerful just by saying hello to somebody, you don't know their story or what sort of mindset they're in at the time. And so that was a really big lesson for me. It's not hard to say hello. It's not hard to say, hey, do you need help? It's not hard to say, geez, you look good. Oh, I love that outfit. But genuinely, of course. Or just say, you know what, you're doing really well. I'm really proud of you. And in fact, I said that to a friend the other day. And it could be seen as, she doesn't need to hear that from you. She's in a different space. But why wouldn't you want to be told you're doing good by someone that's a friend of yours has noticed these amazing things about you? I think it's nice to be able to tell somebody and have that confidence. They always smile. They'll smile from the inside. You can see it, trust me. All right, so that's about getting out and being stimulated by new faces, right? We get those different perspectives and that new energy there. The other thing is you could try new places. So all our situations are different, but perhaps you need to switch up your work environment. And that could mean a new job altogether. It could mean, transferring to a new department. It could be simply working from a different location, like a co-working space, a cafe, or something like that, instead of working at home. I remember back when I had Ultra, I went through a phase there where I would go to a coffee shop every Friday, I think it was. And the first hour to an hour and a half there, I'd order a coffee, I'd get my breakfast, and I'd sit there with a notepad and pen, and I'd just people watch and I guess journal. I'd just brain dump ideas and thoughts. And it was such a great time for me and such a good outlet, and also good to just see people. I'll tell you what else it did. It had some marketing for the gym, but also people would just say hello and you'd strike up different conversations. So for me, it became a creative space. So that energy just brought out that creativity. But you could also do things like changing up your travel. It could even be locally. It doesn't necessarily have to be somewhere far away. And I love this. I've even got a weekend planned next weekend, which I'm super excited about. And the little fur baby will be coming with me. So that'll be exciting. Even things like movement, like moving your body in a new location, whether you're hitting the beach and just walking or swimming, or you're going to a park to do your own stretches or a run or just a workout, or you try a different gym. Even though you've got a membership somewhere else, you know what, I'm going to drop in at this other place and just do a session there. Or even just a different route, the way that you walk, go the other way around, try a different street or something like that. We need to keep stimulating ourselves with this physical space, this physical location that we are. And the other thing is challenging yourself. So this is my third way of changing up this stimulation, is just getting these new challenges, like maybe learn something new, a skill, a process, maybe, dare I say it, a hobby. Because if you think about it, have you got a hobby? And when was the last time you did have a hobby? Or Did you actually do that hobby that you like? And ask a friend, it's a really good question here. Like, what's some of your hobbies? Because it's not a question that people ask anymore, which I think is quite interesting. And then people are stumped by that question as well. They're like, I don't know, I don't have a hobby. Or what could you consider a hobby? And I get asked this a lot. Is going to the gym a hobby? It's whatever you want it to be. But anyway, that's trying something new, which is also, it rolls into the next one, which is being a beginner again. Let yourself not be good at something. It's okay. It's good for the ego, in fact. Like trying a new sport, or I don't know, anything. I can't think of other things right now. For me, it would be trying a new sport and not being great at it. Or you know what? For me, it would be painting. I'm not the greatest at that, I don't necessarily think, but how would I know? I haven't done it. I am very good at the, what are they? The stick figures, though, if I'm drawing people. And then the other thing is you could start a project, something that excites you. Maybe it even scares you a little bit. So for me, getting the new mentor recently was the reset I didn't know I needed. She has made some incredible introductions for me already, and it's only been a short time. And she's challenged me to move faster on projects that feel uncomfortable for me. But that's also exciting. And it's, I guess, one of those intros that she's already given me, it's led to a potential investment opportunity, which I'm excited about. And others, the other connections, have simply just been to brilliant women in my area. Now, sure, I have to do the work here. I have to show up. I have to start the conversations. But honestly, what do I have to lose? Nothing. So have a crack. And so now when you think about those signs that I've just said and what you could explore, I guess, how do you make sure you don't wait for burnout to take that action, or you don't wait until you completely hit that rock bottom to take action? I guess what we have to do is, one, be aware, but design it before we become desperate. Don't wait for things to fall apart before you give yourself permission to change. You don't need a dramatic exit. You need intentional pivots. Stop appeasing others by staying stuck. Be your thriving version of you. Align with the energy and the lifestyle that you actually want. And this comes down to intentional living. Live with purpose, live with intention, make decisions based on what you want, not what somebody else wants or somebody else wants for you, or what society expects. Do this for you. Ask yourself this: what am I craving more of? And no, it's not pasta. Who makes me feel alive? Think about those people. And what environment expands me? I've walked away from people before, sometimes permanently, sometimes just for a season. And it's because the energy no longer aligned. One woman drained me constantly. She asked for advice over and over. We're talking about a few years on this one, but she would never act on it. And she'd take hours and hours of my time with the exact same problem. Another one used to put me down in front of others. So it was lovely to me, but as soon as we were in the company of other people, she'd just put me down, making me feel small. If you know me at all, I'm a bit of a big dreamer. I like to dream big. And sometimes it's more subtle, like realizing I've been zoning out in a conversation because the topic just doesn't light me up anymore. That person's, dare I say it, they're boring to me. And that's on me. That's my problem and my fault. But the best thing to do and the right thing to do, if it's not interesting me, is to cut it away. I don't think everyone is meant to walk the whole path with you. Some are just part of the chapter, part of the journey, and that's okay. I've learned to be okay with that. Letting go with kindness is still growth. So if you're feeling flat, maybe you're feeling uninspired, just don't wait. Like, I'm telling you this today, change your scenery, meet new people, shake things up a little bit. And of course, remember, we're not climbing the mountain. You don't need to fix your whole life. You just need a little bit of a spark. And that spark often lives outside your current routine. I'm giving you permission. You are allowed to grow. You're allowed to evolve. And yes, You're allowed to want more. There is nothing wrong with that. So come share what this has brought up for you in the lounge room if you're not already in there. And if you're ready to design your next season with intention, it's literally the perfect place for you to start. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one of my favorite clarity tools, and I call it the cut it, keep it, claim it. It's a quick reset I've come back to whenever I feel stuck or stretched too thin. And it's 3 simple prompts here, but it creates this one powerful shift. So if you're listening right now, I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself, what is no longer serving you? Cut it. What's grounding you right now? Keep it. And what are you stepping into next? Claim it. Right, so now it's your turn. What are you ready to cut? What are you ready to keep? And what are you ready to claim? DM me on Instagram or come share it in the lounge room, because we're all doing this together. Big dreams, small steps. Let's start moving. So keep showing up, keep backing yourself, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you for joining us on the Sisterhood Collective podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And if you want to be the first to hear what is new at Sisterhood Collective, you can find out more on our Instagram, or you can sign up to receive our weekly newsletter and let the good times continue to roll. Now it's time to turn your clear vision into bold action. I'm Laurie Drummond, your host, and until next time, keep striving to live that best life. Take care, and we'll see you soon.